Get out of my mind, novice. There is a war to be won.
Okay, well, welcome to my first new cast in a long time. I haven't done any videos. I've been pretty busy. You know, life gets in the way, so it happens. But I decided to start posting videos again. I don't have any replays that anyone else has played to post at the moment, but it's always out there. The option is available to people who want to have their games cast. I'll cast them for them, and I'll post them online, and then you can tell your friends that your game is online with the cast. So, if you'd like, and if you do send me a video, there's a very high probability I'll do the cast because I don't have a lot of casts to do right now. So, I mean, there's other people who do casts as well, but they're more popular, and they probably got a lot of videos. So, just putting that out there. If you want a near guarantee that your video will be cast, or your replay will be cast, then send it to me, and I'll do that for you. So that is what I am offering StarCraft players today, and I've made the same offer before, and I did get some videos, but they got deleted actually, which was a mistake on my part, and I lost them completely, and I had to redo them, but I didn't get to redoing them all. But I still have some older videos on there, so if you want to watch some of my older casts, you're more than welcome to. There's some older versions, older videos with some older versions of the game, but they're still on there. But what I decided to do today is that I decided to go through strategies that can be effective probably on the platinum level, but not much higher, because that's where I play at, and I haven't had a lot of time to play lately, so I will admit my skills are fairly rusty, just because school. I mean, I've been busy with school and homework and things like of that nature, and just been moving around a lot and doing all kinds of stuff, and I'm about to lose. Oh, I saved it just in time, but that did allow that guy to get in there. That's what I get for not paying attention. But I did save that SCV, and I am chasing this probe with an SCV with 10 hit points, and this probe has full health, so it's probably not the wisest of my choices. But I think that SCV actually survives, because I don't think he realizes how weak that SCV is. But anyways, so what I'm going to show here is I'm going to show a strategy that I use that I really haven't seen replicated. Like, I haven't seen other people. Oh, I heal him. That's how he survives. I haven't seen other people use this before, or at least not against me, but I play Terran. But this is, I find that against Protoss, the strategy that I'm going to use here is most effective against Protoss. It doesn't work too well against Zerg, and it doesn't work too well against Terran. And it's an air strategy, and it involves using Banshees and Vikings. Now, there's obviously critical weaknesses to this strategy, but if done properly and executed properly, and in the instance that your opponent doesn't exploit it or exploit the weaknesses, you can get a fairly good chance of getting a win. And again, this is, you know, if you're Master or Diamond, don't worry about it, because it's probably not going to be as effective on that level, because a lot of these strategies kind of involve your opponents overlooking certain things and not exploiting certain things, and when you get into higher levels, that doesn't happen very much. But if you're gold or you're silver or bronze, definitely bronze, this is definitely a strategy that is probably really strong in the lower levels, lower leagues. So if you're one of the gold or silver players and you're looking to advance in those leagues, get up there a little higher, this is probably an effective strategy that'll help you out. And this strategy here got me through bronze to gold, and it hasn't got me out of platinum. I'm in platinum. Once you get to platinum, things get a little more dicey, especially so you have to start to develop new strategies. But it did get me into the platinum levels, and what that provided for me is that it provided me, first of all, stronger opponents. And because I was playing stronger opponents, I was forced to play better games, and I actually improved my skills. So maybe I mean, people will be like, oh, well, you cheese through games to the higher levels, but you know, whatever. You know, if if your players lose to cheese or wild strategies, that's their own, your opponents, that's their fault for overlooking those things. And if you cut through all of the lower leagues with cheap strategies, personally I don't see anything wrong with that, because then that gives you stronger opponents, and then you're forced to play better, and it actually improves your skills, and it also improves your confidence. Confidence is a huge thing in anything you do, and if you're in the higher league, you're going to have more confidence in yourself, and you're going to play better because of that confidence. It's true. It's psychological, but it's true. So if you're struggling to get out of these lower leagues, then this is a strategy that can help against Protoss. And if I have time, I'll post another video that kind of shows why I put a Planetary Fortress here, for one. Not on this video, well, kind of, you'll see in this video. But I do use Planetary Fortresses. But what this is a Banshee Viking mix. And again, I haven't seen this strategy very much. It's basically an all-air offensive harassment strategy, and you're weaker in engagements, but you're stronger in mobility. And if you exploit that mobility properly, then you can win. Even though you'll have a weaker army, your army is much more mobile. It's not restricted by terrain. And I figured this was a good video because it kind of shows how effective an all-air offensive army like this can be if you properly exploit the terrain against your opponent and use it to your advantage. And because there's a lot of, because ground armies are stronger, and usually in StarCraft 2, all of my opponents, I rarely have seen opponents go just an all-air strategy like this. They're usually going to go ground, and that gives them a stronger army. But if you properly exploit it, then you can gain an advantage over your opponent. It basically involves destroying his economy and destroying his tech structures while he's displaced his army, and while his army's making his way around terrain and back, you're going around just destroying stuff. And again, I thought this was a game that really showed how effective that strategy can be. And so basically what I'm doing here is, this is not a huge effective attack or anything. This is a reconnaissance attack, and what I'm doing is, I'm not really paying attention, for one. Now I am. But what I'm doing with this attack is, one, I'm trying to find weaknesses in his defenses, trying to get a feel for the player. How is he going to react to Banshees? What's he going to do when he sees Banshees? How strongly is he defending at this point in the game? What's his army composition like? Obviously, what kind of structures he has. And so, yeah, he's probably doing more damage to me than I am to him right now, but I'm getting a lot of critical information to kind of fill out my opponent and kind of see, what he's doing and what the direction he's going in. And this is a real effective strategy against big maps. And because obviously the rush distance is longer, he's not going to hit you hard and fast in the beginning. And this strategy is particularly weak against a real strong opening offensive. So if you're on close terrain, you probably will want to get out some Marauders and Marines a lot faster than getting a Banshee out at 10-11 minutes, whatever I got that Banshee out at. I don't even remember. But one thing you might not have noticed, that what I did first off is, for the build order for this, is I built a barracks and 2 supply depots, and then from there I built a command. Well, I got my orbital command, and then after that I built my command center inside my base, and I floated over here and immediately built a planetary fortress. And what that does is, if he attacked me early on in the game, I have a planetary fortress already in place, so my expansion is vulnerable because it's an early expansion, but anything he's going to throw at you that early in the game, a planetary fortress will be able to ward off. So that's kind of a way to get a safe early expansion out. And since I'm going air, you don't need the minerals as bad, because air is a real Vespene heavy type of strategy. And so when people get to 2 orbital commands, that's because they're building so many Marines, they're consuming minerals so fast. You don't need that many minerals if you're going to be doing an air offensive, air attack strategy like this. You're going to need more Vespene. And so a planetary fortress is more effective with this strategy, because in the beginning your defenses are weaker, and so Planetary Fortress will add. I mean, here there's a pretty big gap between your ramp and your Planetary Fortress, but in other maps it's close enough to where that Planetary Fortress will be able to defend your front ramp along with whatever you put in your bunkers. And I have another replay I can show to show how that works. And I'm expanding again too. So you want to expand as much as possible and as quickly as possible to get as much money as possible. You want a strong economy, and you want to out macro your opponent as well. That is obviously in any game that's effective. But again, I'm just kind of poking around. I mean, I'm building up my starports as well. Right now I have 5. I end up with 7, and you want between 6 to 8 starports for this to work. Well, 6 to 8 for your Banshees, and then at least 1 with a reactor to build Vikings from. And against Protoss, that will be effective with just 1, maybe 2 with a reactor for Vikings. Against Zerg, and yes, I've used this strategy against Zerg, and it can work. It's weak to Infestors, just as this strategy is weak to High Templars. But I do manage to destroy his Twilight Council there later on, and so he's not able to build Templars, High Templars. But yeah, you don't want him to go High Templars and Infestors, because that is a counter to the strategy and its weakness. But if they don't really catch on, or they don't know that, again, this for lower league players, if they don't catch on, then you can walk over them with this strategy. But you're gonna want enough, because especially against Protoss, you're gonna want between 6 to 8 starports with Tech Labs to pump out Banshees as fast as possible, and that's at a minimum, because the thing is, he's likely going to go Stalkers, because that's what most Protoss players do when they see Banshees at such large levels as I produce in this game. They're likely going to go Stalkers. Some of them will go Phoenixes, and if they are, then you're going to want more. You're going to want more reactors instead of Tech Labs if they're going Phoenixes, but likely they're going to go Stalkers, because Stalkers are really strong against Banshees. And so the thing about Stalkers is that they obviously with their warp gates are able to produce so many Stalkers so fast. And Stalkers 125-50 for a Stalker, and 32-second cooldown. Well, that's anything. Takes 5 seconds to warp in. A Banshee, you got 150-100. And it takes a Banshee 60 seconds to build. So you want as many of those starports as possible, so you can just keep up with production, because you're going to lose Banshees, but you want to be able to replenish those Banshee numbers faster than your opponent really expects you to be able to, because most opponents think, okay, I killed this Banshee army, it takes a long time to build Banshees, they think they're good, but if you have enough starports, 8 starports, you're pumping out 8 Banshees at one time, you're going to have a fresh army ready to go, even if you lose your first army. And that's if you want to be able to come back and do a lot of harassment. And what I'm doing here is, again, this is where the strength really begins to show in this strategy, is that his army is displaced. It's way out here, and he didn't get Blink, which is another problem for this player in particular. And so while he's taking his time walking around, getting back into his base here, I'm there just destroying the structures. And I also have command centers, which I use to scan. And what I do is I scan and I snipe the observers with my Vikings. I didn't do it here. I retreated there. But I scan and I snipe observers. And what happens is my Banshees are cloaked. He can't see them. And you have free reign on his stalkers when you do that. And so it's, even though he doesn't have any air force, I always keep Vikings as escorts with my Banshee force, so I can snipe observers. And I build at least 2 orbital, as I'm building a second one here, and I build them both within my base. This is definitely not by the book, because I do things that you would never see anyone else do. I've never seen anyone do the things I do. So that's why I say I do things no one else does. But, obviously there's advantages and weaknesses, and whatever. I do what I want. And what it usually does is it catches people off guard, and you do things that they can't expect you to be able to do. And that's how you win. And obviously, like I said, in the lower leagues, Platinum, Silver, Gold, it's going to be much more effective, because it's easier to catch those players off guard. If you get in the higher leagues, I understand Diamond, Masters, right? Okay, it doesn't work as effectively, but I'm quite happy in Platinum, and I enjoy playing in Platinum, and I enjoy using these strategies. And for players who want to progress out of those low leagues, these are ways you can do it, is with strategies like these. And as you see here, I'm sniping his observers, but the problem is that he has that photon cannon, which I should have sniped with my Banshees, but I didn't. But still, I was able to land my Vikings to help fight these stalkers, and I'm still doing a lot of damage to him. And I was able to fly in here and snipe that Nexus there, and he has this Nexus here as well. He's mining from the gold, so he's getting a lot of money. His income is 60, or he has 60 harvesters with 1,400 income. I have 2,186 harvesters. Again, this works much better on big maps like this, where you have room to expand and just get a roaring economy like this, you know. And you want a macro hard with strategies like this, because those Banshees are expensive and they cost a lot of Vespene, and you only have 2 Vespene geysers per base, and you're going to be using up so much Vespene, so you need a lot of bases, collecting up as many Vespene as possible. And when you build I always put missile turrets with my planetary fortresses, so sneaky stuff like Dark Templars and things like that, or air raids or whatever. They're not quite as effective because you have missile turrets there to ward off that kind of stuff. And so, anyways, so yeah, here I'm gearing up to do some more prodding attacks here, because I do what I can to know the location of his army, and if I sense that his army is away from his base, that just opens him up for attack and harassment. And I was able to determine, I don't remember what point I determined his army was again displaced, and so that's the advantage of the air army. You just bypass he'll have a stronger ground army, but you just bypass it. You just fly around it, sneak into his main base, and just start destroying stuff. And right now I'm focusing on his major tech structures, because I want to knock him down the tech tree as low as possible, and that gives me even more advantage, because then he has to spend time to rebuild his pylons and also rebuild his tech, time and money and resources, and you're just slowing him down and bogging him up and frustrating anything he tries to do. And it is a very frustrating strategy to fight against, because I infuriate people when I do this to them. They literally get infuriated. And here is an example of where I sniped his observers, and so now from his view he can't see my Banshees at all, and I just have free reign over his army. He took out my Vikings, and he's taking out my reinforcements, but there's nothing he can do now other than retreat, and he finally got Blink done, but now he's trying to retreat back to these cannons. He finally gets there into cover and safety, and he warps in some more stalkers, and so then I finally retreat. But as you see, I did massive damage to his army because I had my Vikings there to escort, and even though I lost all my Vikings, I still did more damage because I was able to snipe those observers. And I usually have enough energy, because I have these 2 command centers, and I keep my planetary fortresses. I don't put this command center on a mineral line, because I keep planetary fortresses on those mineral lines, because I don't want him to be able to do to me what I do to him as easily. I don't want to give him that option to easily just walk through and snipe my economy, my mining bases. And so I keep them all as planetary fortresses, and that makes it's a bit of a turtling strategy. And something real strong about the Terrans is their ability and their power to turtle. And I know when you turtle, that kind of puts you at a disadvantage, because then you're giving your opponent free reign, but it's more of a proactive turtling than just a 100% defensive turtling, because you're able to turtle, but at the same time you have this air army that's you keep an awareness of what your opponent is doing, and you keep that air army out on the field away from his main army, and you harass whatever he's leaving exposed when he moves his army. And so that's the effectiveness of the strategy. And see, he took out that planetary fortress there, but I was able to damage delay him and also damage his stalkers, and that's another thing Planetary Fortresses do that provides advantage with this strategy is the delays. It will delay your opponent when he's trying to attack you. And so now he's going to attack me, and you know, I'm healing my planetary, kind of healing it with these SCVs. You know, I put them on auto heal. Oh no, I didn't, but I think I will eventually. But anyway, some of them are. But they're repairing this planetary fortress, and that's delaying him. And this whole time he's trying to take out this one planetary fortress, in that whole time I've wiped out his entire main base. So he has no main base. All of his tech structures, all his production structures that were there are gone. I've cleared it out. I've leveled his whole main base, and he's managed to take out one expansion. And it's just one or two actually. And this second one here, but the time while he's trying to take that out, I took out his whole main base, and this wasn't very, I mean, it was mostly mined out anyways. Unfortunately, I have this one here already, ready to start mining from, and I have guys like I sent over there. I end up, the game ends before then. But that whole time he was trying to do that, I just took out his main base, his natural expansion, which, I mean, didn't affect his mining much, but now he has to rebuild all of his tech structures, and he's kind of hesitant to engage my Banshees, especially at that last engagement, because he doesn't really have any observers anymore, because I took out his tech. He can't build observers. And yeah, my point defense drone, which comes real handy against stalkers. You mix a couple of ravens in there, throw down a few point defense drones, and they'll start absorbing stalker shocks, and that allows your Banshees to get off a whole lot more shots before he can even do anything. And he doesn't want to engage me. He can't really defend because he's stuck out here. I'm flying back and forth. I just took out his two nexuses there, and so now he's not mining at all, and he's supply blocked, as you can see. And so he's kind of in a tough situation here, and yeah, and there's nothing really he can do. I pretty much own him right now because he can't engage my army. He can't. Well, he's too afraid to engage my army. He probably should have, but you know, they're cloaked. They're cloaked Banshees, and his cannons are dead. He has no observers. He can't see the cloaked Banshees. Now he decides to engage it because there's really nothing. He has no option left. And he's throwing all of his stalkers. I keep scanning because I don't want to make sure that no observers come up, because they'll sneak up sometimes. And I basically just wipe out his whole army and he quits. And so, yeah, there's one video of basically the effectiveness of this strategy. And again, it works on the platinum level, and this was a platinum game. It'll be even more effective on the gold to silver levels, but you have to know how to maneuver your Banshees, when to withdraw, when to engage, and really the key is to keep an awareness of where your opponent's army is at all times as much as possible. Wait till that army is displaced, especially when once he gets beyond his his natural expansions here, when he tries to expand beyond that really makes him vulnerable, because he can't spread out his army across the whole map to guard both at the same time. So his army is going to be at his main defending it, or he's going to be at one of his expansions defending it. And if he's at his expansion defending his expansion, which he'll usually do because there's more money in the further expansions, there's going to be more money. He's going to want that money. But if he's out there, you saw me do it. Hit his main, take out his pylons, take out critical tech structures. When the army shows up, bail. Just GTFO, right? Head back to base, repair, reinforce, and then whatever he does from there, a lot of times they'll attack, a lot of times they'll kind of stay in their main. If they stay in their main, just hit their far expansion. If they attack, and if I use planetary fortresses, it'll take them some time to take out those planetary fortresses. And a good upgrade to get is this armor upgrade, because that makes their the armor upgrade and the range upgrade for the attack. I didn't get it this time, but it's a good one to get, because it takes him that much longer to take out those planetary fortresses. And while he has his army committed, that's the wonderful thing about planetary fortresses, is a lot of times it takes a lot of force to take one down. Because if you don't have enough force, it can defend all day, because you can just repair it with your SCVs. And so they're usually going to try and snipe your planetary fortress with their army, and they're going to try and do it as quickly as possible. But you delay them, you repair, whatever, and likely you'll lose it. But while they're taking it out, you need to be going through and just leveling everything you can, like I did here. I was able to take out his main and his natural before his armor was even get back down here. And he took out 2 of my expansions, but he lost so much more, monetary wise. And I was able to have this expansion here ready to mine if I needed it, but I didn't. The game ended before then. And so, yeah, and like I was saying, I haven't really seen many players do air strategies like this. I saw one player, and he was a Protoss player. He did mass void rays, and I used this same strategy against him. So it was actually very interesting because it was just a straight up air versus air battle with me and that player, and it was a long game too. And he almost won, and he was really good at it actually. And I was kind of scared for a bit, but I actually ended up beating him. I had enough Vikings, and I was able to take out his. And it was a long time ago. I did some quick maneuvers and pulled some fancy stuff, and I was able to beat him. But yeah, it was a tough match, and I actually enjoyed it. To see that there were other players out there who kind of think outside the box. So people want to just focus so much on the metagame, and it's good because the metagames is what the pros are doing and kind of the development of the game. But sometimes when you go outside that box, your opponents won't know what's happening, and it'll be something they haven't seen before, and if something they haven't seen before, they don't know how to defend it. And so, yeah, and I have a lot of strategies that involve air, and but the Banshees are most effective against Protoss. They can be effective against Zerg, as long as they don't go infestors, and you have enough Vikings to support to ward off Mutalisks, and I mean a lot of Vikings. A lot of Vikings. Because actually, Vikings, if you have the same number of Vikings as they have Mutalisks, the Vikings should win. It'll be almost an even match, but the Vikings should win because they're a little bit stronger. But the thing is, Zerg are able to produce Mutalisks much faster than they're able to produce Vikings. But if you have enough starports with reactors, then you can pump out Vikings fairly quickly. And another thing about Vikings is, because Mutalisks, they counter Vikings, but a Mutalisk costs 100 Vespene, while a Viking only costs 75 Vespene. So if he's building that many Mutalisks, he is running extremely low on Vespene usually. And it's costing you less Vespene. And Vespene is a much more rare resource than minerals. And so in a way it's more valuable. And so he, in the way, is actually spending more to build those Mutalisks than you on the Vikings. And if you have the even number, then you can actually win that fight. So that's kind of the advantage that Vikings have over Mutalisks. You just have to know when he's going to go Mutalisks, and you have to start building your Vikings before he goes Mutalisks. And if you do, you have a chance of keeping your Viking count above his Mutalisk count. And it'll be insane. You'll have an insane number of Vikings. But most Zerg players, they're going to build a lot of Mutalisks when they see you're building a bunch of Banshees. And if you keep your Viking count high enough, you can drive those Mutalisks away, and then with your Vikings, you can kill his Corruptors, or not his Corruptors, his Overseers, and then your Cloaked Banshees have free reign over his forces, and then you go around sniping his hatcheries with your Banshees, just like I saw I did here. But you can't really exploit the terrain the same against Zerg because they're much faster, and Mutalisks are way fast, and they could be almost everywhere at once. And so you just have to have a strong Viking count to ward off those Mutalisks and Corruptors, and to snipe the Overseers, and then you'll have the stronger army. And obviously mix some Ravens in there to get some point defense drones, and it'll be good. And Hydralisks are kind of scary against this strategy as well. But and then against Terran, it doesn't work at all, because obviously they have command centers which they can use to scan. So you can't snipe the orbital scan, obviously, and so they could just scan you all day. And Banshees are weak against Marines, and they'll usually build a lot of Marines, and your Banshees will. Oh yeah, and Thors. Your Banshees will vanish against Thors and Marines, and so you don't even want to try it against Terran. It will not work. I know from experience. And so you're gonna have to go. But against Protoss is the race that this strategy is the most effective against. But there are strategies against Terran that you can use on Terran that you can't use on Protoss and Zerg. But that I'll show later. If enough people show interest in this, and I feel that people actually are interested in seeing different strategies like this, I can show other strategies that will work against Terran and not against Zerg and Protoss. Because I know people are going to be like, oh, that's because Terran is OP and whatever. But no, I mean, it's just each race is unique, and there's the strategy that will work against Terran that won't work against Protoss, and especially against Zerg. And this Banshee strategy it can work, but it's really actually pretty weak against Zerg because Mutalisks and Infestors, because Infestors have a better range when they do their fungal growth. They have better range than the attack range of the Banshees. So if they put fungal growth on your Banshees and they camp there, they could sit there and they could fungal growth your Banshees all day, and you can't retreat because your Banshees can't move when they're stuck with fungal growth, and they'll fungal growth them all day until they're dead. And you could lose your whole Banshee army if you don't have any other units to help liberate or support those Banshees. And Vikings, yeah, but I mean they'll fungal growth your Vikings as well. And so if you got a huge army like this of Banshees and they all get stuck with fungal growth and you're just sitting there camping, fungal growthing your Banshees, that's a lot of money. And he's losing nothing, and he's taking out vast amounts of economic investment. And so that's why you need like some siege tanks and some Marines, and things like that. So anyways, yeah, so I'm going to post this video, see if there's any interest in this video or any other tips or strategies, and if so, I can start showing some other strategies I use. Some of them are fairly standard and some of them aren't. But yeah, if you wish, send me a replay of your video as well if you'd like, and I can cast that for you. And so yeah, and till I see you again.